What's up everyone, welcome to Among the Fence. My name is Aaron and today we're going to be checking out the new album, The End So Far by the band Slipknot. And this is the first time I've ever done a review on Slipknot, so of course proper introductions are a must. The new metal band formed in 1995 in the city of Des Moines, Iowa, and The End So Far is their 7th studio album. The band kind of had a rocky start trying to find right members, which of course this is something that Slipknot does throughout most of their career. And through 91 through 96, they changed names multiple times, and they eventually landed on the name Slipknot, which was named after a song they wrote in 96. And of course, they continued to change members throughout this time. It wasn't until 97 when they would end up recruiting Corey Taylor, who was a vocalist from a fellow Des Moines band named Stone Sour. I could go further into the band's history, and there is a lot of it, but I feel like this review is going to be long enough as it is. They released their self-titled album in 1999, and they blew up really fast, especially after releasing arguably their best album, Iowa, in 2001, and they just continued to climb their way up to the top. Their last album, which they released in 2019, We Are Not Your Kind, is actually pretty comparable to Iowa in terms of its heaviness and dark tone, just the raw, sheer aggression, showing that after all this time, they still got it. But now let's talk about The End So Far. I just realized that my microphone wasn't plugged in, so if you made it this far, about 2 minutes into the review, your reward is now to hear it with better audio. The album opens up with the song Adderall, which has this dramatic sounding kind of intro with what maybe sounds like an organ maybe. The verse comes in with a really basic drum beat. Almost sounds like you're listening to, I don't know, some kind of old rap album like Biggie Smalls or something. The vocals are clean, and not because they're clean, but more based on like the vocal tone and delivery. It's not really quite what I was expecting. The chorus is kind of weird. It sounds like a choir section. When I first put this on, I had to check to make sure I was listening to the right band, because honestly it sounds more like Radiohead or like Gorillaz. Then we have the Dying song, which is basically about how technology's ruined all social interactions, and it touches on Corey Taylor's frustrations over people not being punished for doing wrong. Like, people just get outraged and they just blow up on social media now, and the person gets canceled instead of them actually doing jail time like they should. The verse is really quick with great vocal cadence, and the riff is fantastic. The chorus is very drum and vocal driven with a great melody and a vocal hook that's very catchy. The bridge is probably the best part of this song, as it really brings the heat. Then we have the Chapeltown Rag, which is based on the Yorkshire Ripper, who killed 13 women in the Chapeltown area of Leeds, England between 1975 and 1980. It also touches on the current issues of social media manipulation and our addiction to it. Like, they could basically tell us whatever they want, and the majority of population will eat it up because they're just so heavily addicted. It has a really, really old school Slipknot sound to it that I enjoyed a lot. The drums and vocals are very powerful, and the pre-chorus is chaotic with some turntable action flowing into the chorus. It's pretty catchy thanks to the vocal melody, but I felt like it was a fairly weak chorus all around. Verse 2 is heavy thanks to the riff, and the bridge is pretty tame, more relaxed than what I was expecting, but the outro really makes up for it. Then we have the song Yen, which is slang for yearning, which is basically a love song for Corey Taylor's wife. The intro is kind of weird because it has like this start and stop sort of thing, and the first minute of this song is basically nothing. It's mostly just drums and vocals. About halfway through the verse, then the chorus kind of picks up a little bit with a really sick riff, but the vocal delivery, I gotta admit, is kind of lame. It's very melodramatic. The breakdown is easily the best part of this song, but I feel like it's only because the rest of the song is it just isn't really that great. Hive Mind is easily, it's pretty close to being my favorite song on this album. It's got like this reverse effect thing on what sounds like maybe a merry-go-round in the intro. The guitar is really, really heavy with just so freaking much distortion. The vocals are really commanding, but the chanting that they do is a little silly. I realize that this song is mostly meant to be used like live to really get the pit going, and I feel like it's going to work well. The chorus is just a little awkward, mostly in its transitions. There's a really big buildup that goes into the chorus. It just makes it feel really anticlimactic too. The bridge definitely does a better job at it, but again, just barely. Then we have the song Warranty. Corey said that this song is basically like a tongue-in-cheek look at what people expect from Slipknot, which I feel like a lot of older metal bands like their fans have this expectation of them to sound a certain way back in the day or whatever, you know, so everybody has expectation of their favorite metal band that's over 15 or 20 years old. The lyrics are really spot on. However, it almost comes off as like an anthem for fans, even though it's making fun of them. It's almost like an anthem for them anyways. The chorus is kind of boring though, and it feels really dull compared to the verses. The bridge, to me, gets ruined by the vocals. I gotta say, like, the last half of this album, I feel like it starts out strong, but then it really starts to fall apart at this point. Medicine for the Dead is about people who struggle with clinical depression. It's got a slow burn in the intro and it builds into a really decent sounding riff. The chorus feels a little bit more vulnerable in terms of atmosphere and vocals, and I love the fire that they bring in the pre-chorus. However, the chorus falls apart all over again. The bridge really brings the heat in the outro. The chorus, to me, just the cadence was just kind of okay. It just doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere. Then we have the song Acidic, which is basically a nod to the band's biggest influence, Acid Bath. I really dig the Acid Bath vibe, especially in the verse, how it just keeps changing and it's really progressive sounding. However, I'm not really feeling the vocal performance though. And the bridge and the solo were pretty sick, but I really love the way that buzzsaw guitar sound comes back in right afterwards. It's just so great. Heirloom comes in with drums and a heavy riff. The verse gets really stompy, also thanks to the vocal cadence in the music. The chorus is pretty weak, and that's basically all I have to say about that song. Then we have H377. The intro starts things off pretty aggressive, and it carries that into the verse. The chorus is kind of just there, but it's over really quick, so I mean, it doesn't really ruin the song. However, it does get really repetitive, especially in the outro, but it still has the aggression there, and this is basically the aggression that I feel like all Slipknot fans have been waiting for with this song. And then we have De-Sade, or De-Sade, I believe that's how it's pronounced. It's about Frenchman Marquis de Sade, who was a politician and a writer who was famous for his depictions of sexuality, and he wanted to open up free brothels because he thought it would help with crime. He was eventually deemed mentally unsuited for the job, and he was imprisoned. It's got some really cool stuff in the intro in terms of music. It's got a really sick riff in the verse. However, there's like this echoey thing going on in the vocals, which it doesn't really sound great, where Corey just says again multiple times. The chorus, again, is just kind of okay. However, the bridge, it kind of made up for it. It sounded cool, but I don't know if I liked it so much just because so far everything else has been kind of boring. And that brings us to the closing track, Final, which is basically the band looking back at their career and all their life's decisions. A lot of them weren't the best. A lot of fans disagree. A lot of fans do agree, and blah, blah, blah. It starts out with clean vocals and strings with what sounds like maybe keys in the intro. It's got this really ominous sounding guitar and drums that come in the verse. The chorus is actually kind of memorable this time. However, the weird choir chanting thing that happens in the post-chorus is absolutely awful. I would say that this song is a decent closer for the album, but it's not a good song. I went into this album basically with no expectations. I wanted to hear something new compared to their last album, but at the same time, I didn't really quite know what to expect. I mean, I feel like this album leaves more questions than anything. Like every single song starts out kind of the same. It's really slow, kind of quiet, has a lingering intro that you feel like, okay, let's just kind of get on with the song. And that's kind of how the whole album feels. It feels like it really never takes off. It never goes anywhere. Like you're waiting for this album to start. And then when you look at how many songs you've listened to, you're like on the 7th song. You're like, wow, man, I'm like in the middle of this thing. And I'm 40 minutes into it, and I'm still waiting for this thing to let's get going. Let's do something here. Let's get exciting. Let's bring it to life, Slipknot. And I feel like they just didn't. And while I don't really dislike anything on this album, like I don't hate it at all, it felt really flat to me. So yeah, with all that said, I gotta give The End So Far by Slipknot a 4.8 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I'm sure there's a ton of Slipknot fans that are probably going to hate me after this review, which is totally fine. So yeah, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of The End so far. Let me know what you would rate it. Let me know what your favorite song is. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you didn't enjoy it, feel free to give it a dislike. But at the same time, let me know why, other than, you know, you just hate me and my review sucks and you've seen better, blah, blah, blah. Let me know why you like the album more, because I'm more curious of that. Maybe I'm missing something that you like that I just overlooked. I don't know. So yeah, and if you want to help support me and my channel, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon. Doing any of that stuff helps me out tremendously. Even if you just take time to listen to me talk and you do just let me know I'm stupid at the end of my video, still, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.
I was trying